Today, we're going to talk about the parable of the basket. What is the basket? What is the parable of the basket, and why is it very important to know about that, especially in the times and the seasons that we're at? These are some of the things that we're actually going to be taking a look at, and I think it might be important to take your pens and papers because there might be a couple of things you'd have to note down. All right, so let's go diving into it. How did the whole idea of the parable of the basket come in? What you need to know, there's a big story behind it, but I don't want to bore you with that. But one of the things you need to know about the parable of the basket is that it's in a single sentence. There are many people who are joyfully going to the river to draw water without realizing that they are baskets. So that is the sentence I want you to ponder about. A lot of people are joyfully going to the river to draw some water without realizing that they are baskets. What that means is that essentially it's a fruitless endeavor, an endeavor that would utterly end in frustration, discouragement, and despair. Now, when you have the water, which signifies abundance, which signifies provision and providence, and we have people with basket, which is their container to take from the limitless resources, or whether it's limited resources, in order that they might be able to do well with it. Now, when the basket goes into the water, it does the same thing every bowl does, but the moment it leaves that water and is about to be transported to the place it's actually going to serve its purpose, there will likely be no more water inside it. So there are many people who are baskets without realizing it. What does that mean? There are many people who look into their accounts and say that, oh, at least I've still got some money. At least I'm still able to make ends meet. At least I'm not totally broke. At least I can still move around. I can still fuel my car. I can still fly the plane. I can still do different things that money does, without realizing that they're becoming baskets. Now, one of the things you need to do, I remember I was having a session with a customer, a client, and we're doing that analysis, and that was where it really did dawn on me that a lot of people do not even know what their financial status is. It's delusional to look at what is currently in front of you and use that to judge what your financial status is. A better approach to that is to look at your financial history. So what are some of the ways to do this? Have you checked through, and this will actually make a lot of sense for people who are consistent with budgeting. If you are not consistent with budgeting, I don't think you're going to, this conversation is going to help you in any way, except it's something you're able to do. Now, for people who have been consistent with budgeting and have that financial intelligence habit of budgeting, this is a conversation for you. Now, I want you to look at what your earnings were 12 months ago, last year. And not just the earning, but your earning power. That means what the money you earned can actually get you. I want you to have a concept of your net worth, 12 months ago. And I want you to do it now as well. How much do you earn? What is your earning power? What is your net worth? Now, this allows you to have an idea of how much you have lost. Now, based off of the passage and the movement of time. Now, the core thing is not even just how much you have lost, but what is the condition of your container and at what quotient level is it? Now, by quotient level, what I mean is there are different kinds of baskets. The wooden basket, which entirely there are holes around. There are certain bowls that are bowls and not baskets. but they've still got holes in it. Some have holes to the top, some have holes to the bottom, and you know that your level of resources is going to be at the level, the lead of the lowest or the last hole you have. So your hole creates a lead for your life. That's what it means. So I want you to take a financial audit of your life in the last 12 months and begin to check this. What is the percentage leak per month? So how much did you, so calculate how much you earned or made last year and divide that by 12. That gives you an idea of how much you made per month. Now, how much you made per month while dividing the 12 months of the year, that is one data. The second data is now to go into your budget and actually check how much you earned every month. Now check that vis-a-vis the figure you have by dividing the whole of the year divided by 12. That lets you understand the percentage leak, per month. And you know that they are obviously different, except you just have a constant pay all throughout the year and nothing came in more and nothing went down less. Now, what are some of these holes that you need to be very intentional about, knowledgeable about? It's inflation, even though yes, we are moving from inflation to hyperinflation, and you actually need to know how to deal with a season of hyperinflation. It's quite different from inflation. It's just like now the world is going into hyper poverty, and not just poverty, hyper poverty. So how do you deal with that? And so these are some of the things you need to know. So there's inflation tending towards hyperinflation. We also have the devaluation of the currencies, and so we also have taxation. These are some of the things that are eating into your finances. Now take a look at the resultant effect of inflation or hyperinflation to your earning power. Take a look at the devaluation of currencies and how it has affected your earning power, your salaries, your wages, your prices as a consultant, or whatever the case is. And also look at taxation. How much has taxation taken from you in a month, in a year? And I would also just say this as a caveat. If you're an investor and a financially intelligent investor at that, mathematics should be something that you are pleased to do. The moment you actually start getting frustrated or bored with the mathematics of your money, you're not an investor, because you don't even know, you would not know the status of your money. You would not know the conditions of your money. And so these mathematics are very important, and they're not things you should shy away from. From time to time, take financial audits of your life and know your state. The way you're going to go to the hospital and have a health check to know what's the state of what's inside of you, I feel it's the same thing you're supposed to do with your finances, so that you get to know how well you're actually doing. You also have to take a look at the quality of your job security. Now that we have artificial intelligence, it's something to also look out for. Is artificial intelligence reducing your relevance in the workplace? Will the rise of artificial agents, AI agents, rid you from your job? Don't wait till that time comes. Begin to take proactive actions. Go online, find out what are the jobs or the kind of occupation that are declining because of the rise in artificial intelligence. And when you fall into that, it's not just a thing about prayer. You need to reposition your career. All right, that's very important. A lot of people are going to be shocked before the end of 2025 how artificial intelligence is going to disrupt a lot of economies, a lot of jobs, and so the earlier you're able to make that pivot now, the better for you. Now, one of the things that I also want to take a look at in the parable of the baskets. Now, the basket is not the only thing that is experiencing perilous moments. Now, there is a personal catastrophe, which is what the basket falls into. We also have the environmental catastrophe. Now, it's important to look at this, because if you feel you're doing well and you're not a basket, or you find yourself in an environmental catastrophe, you are actually going to suffer the same fate eventually with someone who's a basket. Now, what is an environmental catastrophe, and how would you liken an environmental catastrophe? Now, we already have talked about the basket, which is the personal catastrophe. The environmental catastrophe is likened onto the death of a toad or a frog in boiling water. Now, the water is being heated up gradually in such a way that the frog or the toad is still able to adapt itself until it gets to a point where it doesn't have the strength to adapt anymore, and it doesn't have the capacity to leave that environment. So it's important while you're doing personal audit and personal analysis, it's also important to do an environmental audit and an environmental analysis. Now, one of the things we're going to be doing in the month of March in the Lamada Africa community is personal audits, although we did that a couple of months ago, but we'll be focusing more on environmental audits, just to know if you're in the place that would cause you to thrive, or you are in a place that would eventually kill your dreams. Okay, so what are some of the indicators? So inflations are things to look out for. Earning and purchasing power is looking at the security of the place. How well is that place developing? Are things getting better? Are things getting worse? Are things getting more expensive over time? Are things getting cheaper over time? Is it a location that has a lot of opportunities, that is good for hardworking people to make ends meet, or it's a red ocean? Okay, so these are some of the things you actually need to begin to take a look at for your environmental analysis. Now, because you know that humans are different, financial health is different, where you choose to live is different, the kind of experience, exposure, the kind of jobs you have is different, it means that your personal analysis and your environmental analysis is going to be quite different. And so it's important for you to run through the template to run an environmental analysis that has already been shared with the Lamada Africa community, and dutifully go through them. Be honest with yourself, and then once you come out with the result, then we're going to know what to do with these diagnostics and how we can improve. But for some people, it's not about leaving a certain location they're at. It's about taking a revision of the opportunities available and the level of skills that they have. Some people are dying not because of the location they find themselves, but because of the skills they have not upgraded. Okay, so these are some of the things that you really need to begin to take due attention. You know, and why am I saying that? We're living the windows of February. As we venture into March and going into the second quarter, you begin to see the importance of some of these things. And a lot of people who come to me when it's late, sadly, there's really nothing I can do about it. If we've been talking about the economic collapse, if we've been talking about the devaluation, you know, and all of that, and you did not make any actions, you did not make any strategic repositioning, and you're only coming when the environment is already stuffing the life out of you, that is the wrong place. Okay, so the earlier you make the adjustments, the earlier you have that personal data and environmental data, the better for you. And then, you know, we can work on how to make ends meet. I would also want you to continue to look at the corrupt and incorrupt seeds and commodities that we talked about. Begin to reposition your investments. All of these things would really tell, you know, at the end. Okay, so this is just a short piece that gives you a homework for you to go and do a lot of things about yourself, and then you can return with the data you've gotten, and then we'll see what ways to advance with that. So I'm going to end with this. There are two important things you need to understand with all of the sessions. Number one, are you a basket? How bad is your basket? Number two, are you a toad in gradually boiling water? Or worse, are you a combination of a basket and a toad in boiling water? Okay, now you also need to know that this is not a dooms. You're not doomed if you find yourself in those situations. It's about the quality of the decisions you will make and the courage to follow through and the discipline to end it. That's what will be the major marker for you. And one of the things we share in Lamada Africa community is not just about people being opportunistic with investment. It's about becoming an investor at heart. And why is that important? Now, if you're just looking for investment opportunities and you're not an investor at heart, well, you find yourself in certain situations. An investor has been trained to know the indices to look out for and the strategic positioning and the decisions to make whatever situations they face. Okay, and that's what we're building. We're building investors at heart in Lamada Africa, and not just pumping opportunities that make people greedy. At the end, a lot of people who have put on opportunities in stock market and all of that, they're going to be in for a rude shocker. Okay, and so it's important that you understand where to put your money. Now, there are no guarantees in investment. I think that's important to note. However, there are better guarantees than others. And the truth is that many of these things will not be of public knowledge, because investment thrives by intelligence. So it's not something that everyone gets to know in the public, because if everyone gets to know in the public, it defeats the whole purpose. Okay. All right then. So I look forward to getting your data from the basket analysis and then for the environmental analysis. And then hopefully we're going to see a way to make that better for you. See you next time.